Monday Night Football, the Atlanta Falcons caught themselves right in the middle of some huge headlines. So I want to take you right to the end of the game, right? So you're up by 3 if you're Philadelphia, inside the 20, actually right there at the 10-yard line. And the play call from the Eagles was to swing it out, throw the ball to Saquon Barkley, and of course he dropped it even though he was wide open. Coach, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on how it all played out.
Jack, we're in the truck on Sunday. You and I and Rodney talking about this because we saw it play out twice. Tampa was in the same situation against Detroit, threw an incomplete pass. Cleveland had the same situation against Jacksonville, threw an incomplete pass. And we're sitting there thinking, what are you doing? Run the ball, run the 40 seconds off the clock, trust your defense. Don't give the other team a chance. Yeah, you can say it was wide open. A lot of things can happen on pass plays, tip balls, incomplete, drop ball. You just cannot take that chance. You don't need to take that chance if you're Philadelphia with that power running game, Rodney.
Excellent points, Coach. And it all starts with the head coach, Nick Sirianni. And you told me this something years ago. I asked you about taking charge of an offensive coordinator's call. And you said what you do in that situation, you pick up the phone, you call your offensive coordinator, and you say, run the football. You don't tell them the specific run.
Yeah.
You just tell them, make sure you run the football. And the whole entire game, the tush push, they're getting 3-4 yards. If it's me and you want to be aggressive in that situation, that should have been 4-down territory. You run it on 3rd down, you come right back, you line up in the tush push, you get the 4th down, and you go on to win the game. Why get cute? And it goes back to what I always say, Coach, with these offensive coordinators. They are so bent on becoming head coaches. All they want to do is pass, but the obvious plays they don't want to make because they're not splash plays.
Yeah, and we're all over Nick Sirianni, but as we said, we saw it 2 other times that weekend, and we said the same thing. Now, Jacksonville throws a pass in the end zone at the end. It's incomplete. So Cleveland wins the game. Nobody says anything about it. Tampa's defense stops Detroit. Nobody says anything about it. But it was the same situation. And if you're Philadelphia, you got the biggest offensive line in football. You've got Saquon Barkley. Run it up in there. If you want to change it up, fake it to Saquon and have Jalen Hurts run it. But as you say, Rodney, I would have gone to my offensive coordinator and said, hey, we cannot throw the football, we can't have a penalty, and we can't run out of bounds. Whatever you want to do other than that, I'm fine with it.
Yep. And Atlanta had no timeout. So even if you just run the ball, get stuffed for no gain, you're going to run that clock down to maybe 60 seconds, and then you're going to kick that timeout. Now, how fast Atlanta went back down the field, you talk about the mistake with the play call and throwing it, but how about defensively for the Eagles and the way they were just shredded down the field? They scored with still 30-plus seconds on the clock, talking about Kirk Cousins and company.
Yeah, for me, I look at the reason why Kirk Cousins was brought in, because last year the Falcons found themselves in so many close games in the 4th quarter with a young quarterback trying to win the game. And time again, he would always make the key mistake. They went out and they got Kirk Cousins. They went out and drafted Michael Penix. They took care of that quarterback situation. The first week we looked at Kirk and was like, what the heck? This is the reason why you were brought in. Kirk seems like he had more confidence in his leg. He felt like probably he was a little bit more used to the scheme. And he came out and he played tremendous. And, Coach, to me, I when they started going in that hurry-up offense, I started saying, why don't offenses come out in that even more? Because what it does is it puts the defense on its heels and it takes away our aggressiveness. And then all of a sudden we feel like we're being attacked. But it worked out perfectly. And that's the Kirk Cousins. That's the Kirk Cousins that the Falcons brought in. That one right there, getting it done in the 4th quarter.
And Rodney, how huge was that for Atlanta? Just think, if Philadelphia had run the ball and run the clock out, you don't have that last drive. And then what would all the talk be in Atlanta right now? Well, is Cousins okay? Is he really all right? We saw one game against Pittsburgh. They didn't do anything. This game, he didn't do a lot against Philly. Can he still do it? Is it time for Penix? That's what we'd be talking about right now. But one drive, as you say, to light it up, take it right down the field, score, win the game, great locker room celebration. Now it's, hey, let's bring on the Chiefs. Let's go. Kirk's our guy. And that's what one play can do for you.
That's life in the
NFL. If you're Philly, you go from being, close to being 2-0 where you're like, okay, man, we're 2-0. We're playing great on defense. We're getting better on the offensive line. Now all of a sudden you're one-on-one. You know, guys are questioning the head coach. You're starting to question the offensive coordinator. Now you're starting to have, you know, guys looking strange at each other. You just in those situations as a coach, you have to make sure you go over those situations in practice. So when they happen, Coach, we used to walk through them. We used to watch tape on situations. It was so big for us. And we used to do that every single day. And for the life of me, I just think that Nick Sirianni, he has to take more control. I understand you want to respect your offense coordinator, but you as the head coach, like you said, hey, you have the responsibility of the entire team. You have to make that call, even if it feels like you're stepping on his toes. You got to do what's best in the best interest of the entire team, not one person.
Yeah. And then, Jack, we have to go back to that last drive on defense for Philly. You bring in Vic Fangio. We talked about the new DBs and this new secondary, and they're playing with so much confidence. Well, it's a 25-yard pass, down in the corner. And then it's man-to-man inside technique where a guy catches an out route and goes out of bounds. And then it's Darius Slay looking in the backfield. 3 plays, they're down the field 50 yards in 20 seconds and didn't really have to use a timeout.
Yeah.
And the big surprise, Jack? You know what the big surprise to me was? It was just how the Falcons' offensive line just straight up bullied the Eagles' defensive line. They pushed them around. At first, early in the game, they struggled with some pass rushing. Then all of a sudden, the offensive coordinator got smart. He said, let's run the football. And that's when the offense started to ignite. But for the offensive line of the Falcons to push the Eagles, I never thought that would happen, Coach.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Atlanta, they ended up scoring so fast, you're thinking, they might have left Philly too much time. They left them 30-some seconds and still had the timeouts. I mean, it was that fast that they just ignited straight down the field. But to your point, Hot Rod, that's what happens when you have a veteran quarterback who is playing like a veteran quarterback.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.